get together. We are live. Hi, YouTube. What up? Okay, that's what's up. Facebook going live in three, two, one. Oh, let's wait for the live video starting on Facebook. Coming up. Bam! Live. We're back. All right. Well, we are right about at that start point. So let's just get it going. Welcome to my fucking computer being dumb again. It does this every time. So you guys are getting used to it, aren't you? All right. Click all that silly shit out. And we are at high noon, baby. Lunchtime. And welcome to the world of Real Talk with Keith Motherfucking Walker. This episode is brought to you by the rat's ass coin, right? Give a rat's ass or not. Get a look. If you're not getting a good look at it, zerofuckscoin.com. Go check it out. It's got all the goods. All right. So, hey, this will be an interesting topic here. I'm gonna offshoot. So here's how it goes. I was chatting with my boy yesterday, and we're discussing like all things real talk and shit that we're doing and all this kind of stuff, and we do what we want and all that. And so I'm just gonna spend a little time here on the clarification just cause. So if you know who I am and been following it all, like my background in getting to like this point specifically is in addictions, personally, professionally, all the above. And so that was the springboard. Wow, I'm getting some weird feedback out there from Pam's stuff is very loud. Sorry about that. Um, I oh my goodness, that's going to be super distracting. Turn your shit down, Pam. All right, cool. All right, we're back. So, um, what I got from him is he talked a lot about, like my wheelhouse or my lane is in that addictions recovery kind of lane. And I disagree and I don't. I get that that's where it's at. What I want to do here is open up the playing field and basically invite everybody in, because what's happening here is bigger than just that, if that makes sense. Like there's a population, there's a need, obviously, of people who are suffering or have family, friends. Like we all know how big of a problem addiction is, but that's not the only problem, and that's not all of the problem. And frankly, I just think the problem is all encompassing. And what I'm getting to on that is what I do, what I address, what I'm talking about, what we're doing here, caring and sharing and all that kind of stuff applies to everybody that walks on this rock. And that is a lot of where I want to get to. Again, it's like I don't want to be in a box over here in the corner, just like you can't relate if you're not this or you're not that or any of that, because the bottom line is I it's just how I feel about it. I'm going to talk more about it. So I'm going to start here just again to kind of bring everybody into the room. Let's get over our judgments and stigmas and concepts and all that kind of stuff, and just be open-minded for just a moment and see if you can see where I'm coming from with this. So I'm going to steal a little bit of Wikipedia and part of a definition, and just bear with it for just a minute. So addiction is a psychological disorder characterized by a persistent and intense urge to use a drug or engage in a behavior that produces an immediate psychological reward despite substantial harm and other negative consequences. Okay, just chew on that for just a moment. So there's more to it, but let's just talk about that little piece right there as I'm bouncing around. And so, again, if you didn't have any morality about it or impression or any of that kind of stuff, um, can you see that in the mirror? And my answer, my expectation is you can. Because welcome to the human condition. I'll bring it up again just because. Okay. Okay, thanks. You're not on your notepad. You're not on your notepad. Anyway, I'm getting coached out there. So back to the point. We have all and all are susceptible to persistent and intense urges. We call it craving. Do we not? Have you ever been watching TV and seen like a cheesecake commercial and have to go to the fridge and grab something? Right? Simple thing like that. Um, and I'm not going to use a shitload of examples. But the thing of it is, when we talk about addiction versus human condition, what I will offer is it's all human condition. Okay, when I use my definition, if I may, um, to define addiction is human condition out of moderation. Okay, so what does that mean? Again, when we talk about what addiction is in a lot of ways, that is the symptomology. That is what happens when the brain does what it does, right? I mean, and there's that craving mechanism, right? And I'm pretty sure, like, I don't know anybody on the planet, feel free to let me know, that has never experienced craving. I really want to do that. I really need some of that. I really want some of that. I really this, that, or any of that. That is in the DNA. That is in the human condition. That is the wanter. And so, depending on, again, when we put people in boxes of addiction, it's just how far out of moderation has it become over behavior, over time. I mean, again, kind of like the 21-day gratitude list, right? It's we build the new neural pathways, we build habits, we hardwire shit in, do this, do that, do this, get that, do this, get that, right? And so that is part of building, getting into that process. However, again, I kind of go back to that point that we are all capable of that. We are all, it just is. Why some do and some don't, or what level of out of moderation we get, fuck, I don't know. I don't have a crystal ball. Like, I don't know why the universe does what it does. I don't know why people get to the point that they get to in a lot of different ways. They just do. My point is that everybody gets to some of it, period. And that's why the invitation to the world of real talk is to everybody, because the things that we talk about in here and that we do are not specific to a certain population. It's just like I've never talked to anybody who doesn't fucking understand what I'm talking about here, at least at some level. So what's the point of that? Well, we talk about stuff like that because kind of like what the definition said is we will do these things regardless of the intent or the result. Like it's a common phrase, like let's go out and make bad choices, right? um and it's all fun and games until we fucking keep going out making bad choices, having bad results, and we're not really happy about it. But this is, again, I don't know anybody who doesn't make bad choices at times. Some of them are worse than others, some of them are more regular than others, and for any myriad of reasons. But again, I go back to the baseline of human condition and where we're all at. So you may say to yourself, well, fuck, Walker, like, what are you even talking about? And how does that fit in with all the rest of the shit you're talking about all the time? And, where's that fit into any recovery or therapy or any of that kind of stuff? And, what I can share there is, again, that line between, hey, we get caught up in semantics a lot of time and this and that. But, um, I know, again, it's all, there's hope to maneuver within all of what that is. And again, that out of moderation piece, and how that changes. And what I know is, how do I phrase this? Um, there is hope from any of what that being locked into that craving mechanism looks like. What do I mean by that? Well, what do I mean by that? I again, kind of getting back into the human condition piece. I remember in the days of yawn, decades ago or whatever, when I first got into recovery. Again, this is where I learned a lot of this toolbox on human condition, but that was where I got it. That's just my story. Um, but I remember that, and there's a lot of these 12-step anonymous meetings, right? And you've all seen it on the movies or a TV show or actually been involved. So you know the deal. It's like, I'm so and so and I'm an alcoholic, or whatever it is that's happening in that particular setting, and all that kind of stuff. And, I used to be very clever, and people who've known me for decades or back in those days, I got to the point where I would go in to meetings as such, and I'd introduce myself as like, I'm an asshole and my name's Keith. And that was my introduction. And people, funny, sort of. However, a lot of reality there. Like, that meant something, because, so what did that mean? Well, it meant after a period of time, I did not identify as a drug addict. I didn't do drugs. Like, I stopped doing drugs. Not a drug addict anymore by that definition. So why am I still going to meetings, or why am I this, or why am I still an addict, and all that kind of stuff? And that is how my brain operated. Again, is after a period of time, I understood that the drugs were just a symptom of what was going on, and the real problem was me. And I'm an asshole, and I always have been, because I make bad choices based on what I'm craving in the moment. And I've done that ever since I was this tall. Like, and it never stopped or stops. It simply, this is part of that human condition. So that was where I chose and chose to identify with. Like, that's the issue. And the reason that I still seek recovery or spirituality or any of that stuff with any of you or any of the other stuff I do is because I can still be an asshole. And I don't like that. I don't want to be that. But it just is, right? So there it is. Till death do we part. There's always going to be an asshole bone in there. Now, I don't have to behave driven by the asshole. Like, that's the benefit. And that's why we do the things we do on a daily basis, on a moment by moment basis, whatever, one day at a time, all of those cliches, right? That's why we do whatever's necessary so that we don't regress or whatever you want to call it, back into perpetual assholism. So, all right. So there's all of that. So does that make sense, Casey? you know, or anybody else out there? Again, this is where I try to go with it. And I know I'm on the right track. I hang out with enough of you guys that aren't addicts, right? Don't identify as such or any of that. But when we talk about real life shit, real talk, like, we get it. We understand that. There is that connection to what that is. And I'm ridiculously grateful for that understanding. I'm ridiculously grateful for that reality. Again, is if we were perfect, life would be, I don't know. I think it would be boring, inevitably, and then I'd have to figure out a way to fuck that up too, just to change it up a little bit. But um, it's we are not perfect, and that's part of what that is about. And that's, to me, again, that's never going to change, and that's going to grow. That can grow into several other topics as well, which I'm not going to blow out or get into a lot today, because today is today. Why that definition? Oh my God, talk to today. So somebody is in one of the other boxes. Oh, Patreon. Sonia, hi, how are you? Why that definition? What, the one I read? Um, Fuck, I don't know. It was the first one that came up when I Googled it. It worked. It gets the job done, right? It literally picked up what I was saying and printed it. Oh. So I'm talking to myself in here. Great. All right. Well, hi. If you guys can't see on the other platforms, if you were over in Patreon, you'd see Sonia's bounced in. And yeah, I'm going to say hi. There you go. Yeah, anyway, so I don't know where I'm going at this point otherwise with this, except, again, everybody's an asshole. Love ya. But we are all there. And so things like this is my hope. Again, if we are all in the spirit of trying to be better, do better team players, or all that kind of stuff, I guess it's the sales pitch episode. Like, this channel has something for everybody, you know. I guarantee. And if you stick around long enough, you might find something that clicks or matters. And that's why I'm here and all that kind of stuff. So again, without any further input, because everybody's out to lunch. So you'll all be catching this, except you, Sonia. Maybe Pam is lurking somewhere, catching it live. But if you're catching this later, I mean, I'm just going to throw out the 2 cents worth. Like, more is coming down the pike. Um, I invite you to check out all of what I got going on social media wise. There's um, some bigger shit coming down the pike. Where did I write this down? Did I write it down? Yeah. Check out Beyond the Battle, Unite Against the Silence. Okay. You can find that on Facebook. You can find the links. You can find that on whatnot.com. And the short version of that is some very special people are going to be putting together a big auction July 29th on Whatnot. And it's just a shitload of swag. And, there's going to be cool, I assume, cool stories going along with that. All of the proceeds are going to the Corey Taylor Foundation, and they do a lot of mental health and PTSD specifically help and all that kind of shit. So I'm going to be participating, I think, at least this much in there, because it just looks like a really good gig. So that's coming down the pike. I got some other irons in the fire. We're building a website. It's coming along just dandy, but it looks like a lot of fun. So as soon as that comes online, I will be sharing that information with you and other opportunities. So yeah. And if you, somewhere on your screen, there's a fucking arrow button, like that's a share, like do that. Share the memo. Build a base. If you guys get tired of just listening to me all the time, then you can pop in with some things. We're going to figure out what all of that looks like, and we're going to call it a show. Appreciate you guys stopping in. Welcome to the human condition. Progressive, incurable, and fatal. We're going to die with it. Sorry, but you can do better with it. Keep hanging out. If you give a rat's ass about it. All right, zerofuckscoin.com. Get you some. And it's time for me to check out for today. We'll see you tomorrow at noon. Deuces. And Facebook, you are out. Facebook first. If you're still hanging around the other places, I'm going to come get you. Right? Where are we at? YouTube? Latest skaters.